What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Clock's on the stove. It is currently December 2nd, 2021, around 8:15 p.m. Today, got myself. Big Meech is recovering from an illness. He'll be back hopefully Monday. But for now, we got a first-timer on, Mr. Phil Hobbs.
What's up, guys?
And then we got a returning co-host and a truly, I could say, fan favorite, Mr. Shimberg.
What's going on? I'm rocking all my teams lost this week. Duke, Capitals, Florida's down the drain.
So is FAU. FAU's done too. But hey, I'm excited and honored to be on, boys.
I'm good to be back.
This week is actually interesting because we're most likely only going to talk about college football. So as we've been going on through the season, we've been talking how this is easily the most insane season I can think of to date that I've followed, at least since I've been following football since like fourth grade. With the coaching carousel, the playoffs, upsets, everything in and out is unreal. And I would say it was a hard season for me because Wisconsin played like doo-doo and Florida State didn't even make a bowl game. And so that was difficult for me. But from a not fan of the sport, it is the most fun season I think I can ever remember. So much fun. So let's just dive on in so we can get into it. First and foremost, Florida fires Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen finished with a 34-15 record at UF. He was 21-13 in the SEC. They hire Billy Napier. But before we do that, there's a lot of controversy going on whether or not Florida should have fired Dan Mullen. So his first season, he went 10-3. They won the Peach Bowl. Next year, 11-2. Oh, sorry, computer lag. Next season, 11-2, win the Orange Bowl. Next season, 8-4, losing the Cotton Bowl, losing the Cotton Bowl. And then this year they went 5-6. So obviously, when you're at a school such as the University of Florida, your job is not just to make bowl games, it's to win championships. You know, that's a historic program in which it succeeded many years, and it succeeded pretty damn well under Mullen as well. I want to hear y'all's opinion on this, Ethan, especially as the UF fan. Do you think Florida jumped the gun a little early, or do you think they were predicting that it was not going to come back up?
So I think I said this on one of the earlier episodes I was on too. I think I said, I don't think they should fire him after one bad year. That was before we lost to Missouri and started losing some really rough games down the stretch. South Carolina, giving up 52 points to Samford. At home. So it's hard to argue they shouldn't have fired him after the way the season ended. And you could argue maybe he lost the locker room. I think the way he handled both quarterbacks wasn't the best. I think it's tough when he wants to say Emory Jones is his guy, but all the fans, it's very clear that Anthony Richardson is a lot more talented than Emory Jones. Emory Jones does a lot of interceptions, and he tends to throw them at the worst possible times too. So it's just, I think that kind of was tough with the locker room situation. And then again, going back to your point about winning championships, it's also about winning the SEC and competing year in and year out in the SEC. And I think how far Georgia has kind of passed us the last few years, or at least it feels this year, because I know last year we were in the SEC championship game, but it's just, I think it's just a perfect culmination for him to get fired.
So verdict before Mr. Hobbs, are you with or against the decision?
I'm honestly, I'm okay with it. At first I wasn't gonna when we lost to Georgia and LSU back to back, I was like, well, maybe we'll be all right. But then down the stretch, I think it's safe to say they made the right decision.
All right,
we'll see. Time will tell, I guess. But
back to the locker room, I think it's kind of just like a domino effect. How I think it started with the fan base and how Dan Mullen's always been a family guy, trustworthy guy, and he's always been he always honors his coaching staff. And I think after the whole Grantham situation, it turned into a shit show kind of. And then if I can talk about comparisons, I think I can compare Nebraska with Scott Frost, because I mean he's a Nebraska guy. Dan Mullen's a big Florida guy. And I think Nebraska is still, hanging on with Scott Frost. I think maybe one more year with Dan Mullen could have worked out. I think what they should have told him is said, hey, either get a new coaching staff or you're getting out too. So, but I think they should have given 1 more year. I think that's what they're doing with Scott Frost, and I think they should have done the same thing.
Yeah, so obviously I'm not a Gators fan. I'm a born and bred Florida State Seminole. Popped out of the womb. My dad was already getting me to the Tomahawk. But I do have a lot of respect for Dan Mullen though. And if you look at it, like realistically, you take this season out, he went 10-3, 11-2, and 8-4. And in the 8-4 season, they made the SEC championship. So his worst season, they still played great. So it's
and his first few years, I loved him as a Florida fan. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, he's doing with the program what we needed, what McElwain couldn't, what
he's
Muschamp didn't. Like,
born and raised Florida guy,
exactly.
With Urban Meyer, and I think they could have maybe hold the situation like how they did with Ed, the head coach at LSU. I think they should have maybe gave him one last game just to go out maybe with a win, just because of how much he's been a part of Florida football. But you got to do what you got to do.
I think they wanted to beat FSU to make the bowl. Like, that was a huge game. Who was going to be bowl eligible? Who wasn't? Like, I think that's kind of why they went ahead and did it a game early.
My thing is too is and I hate using this as a factor, but if we're going to be realistic, it is a factor. Who knows how hard the COVID situation hit them at UF? You know what I mean? Like last year they went 8-4.
What do you mean, like during the season?
Yeah, I mean just like anything. Like who knows how the situation went? Maybe he got lost separation with some players due to the COVID situation, or maybe the school atmosphere was different, so he didn't get to coach the way he wanted to. There's a lot of factors. When we talked to Jordan Young, who's a DB right now at University of Florida, he even said it like when he first got there, he's never experienced anything like it. It's like in your dorm, this, that, boom, 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 boom. So if you look at his 2 worst years, they're the 2 COVID years. So I'm not saying I'm not making that as an excuse for him doing poorly. It's just like I feel like, and I said the same thing with Gus Malzahn. I was like, when you have a coach that's been there, and that's like Phil was saying, he's like a UF guy, like you usually want to fight for those guys, not just cut them off right away.
Exactly.
So I think you definitely give him 1 more season. I think the whole Emory Jones situation was another reason he got cut.
It really was the way he handled I think the way he handled those quarterbacks at the end is and also I think they had this guy Billy Napier in mind. I think they knew they were going to hire him too, and I think that could have also played a role, having already a solid backup that they thought. You know what I mean? I don't know much about him, but
so before we come on the Billy Napier train, I think the 2 biggest things, obviously the losing record was number 1, but I think the 2 B and C's to that A is horrible recruiting. This man is not done any recruiting, and even though he's done great, and I'm fighting for him to stay, he is not a good recruiter whatsoever. He's a terrible recruiter.
You're top 5 public university, and you're ranked 5 in the SEC rankings for recruiting and 12th in the nation. Like you just can't do those numbers.
And like
state recruiting too.
I don't understand. The thing is like I said, I am in no way a Florida fan, so you're not hearing me be like, oh, go Gators. But you're in the SEC. You're in the easier side of the SEC. Okay, you're in the state of Florida. You have one of the strongest fan bases and college fan atmospheres with your amazing stadium. You have all these other good sports. Your baseball is always top 10. Basketball is always top 25. All right, everything's good. You have beautiful girls that go to school there. You have a great life that support. How do you not get players there? How do you not? I don't understand. Like it should be like an Alabama offer. It should be you get offered by UF. You're like, I made it. But it's not like that. They're getting out recruited by schools that have nowhere near the same that they can offer.
Every year, Georgia just comes out with 5-star recruits like it's nothing. It's so hard for a Florida program to get a 5-star nowadays. I feel like.
But I don't understand why. That's what I'm saying.
And it's not just Florida too. Like Florida State struggled with this recently.
Yeah, Florida State's doing pretty damn good with recruiting right now, though.
But when you have to go. When they're like going against Kentucky for recruits, how does a recruit have a hard decision between going to Kentucky?
And they're a Jordan school. That's also a huge flex.
Yeah.
And with the NIL deals, look how many famous athletes came out of UF, bro. Like you would think all these things would work for them, but they just can't recruit at all.
No, I feel like having said all that, it's another big reason they fired him probably.
No, that's what I'm saying. That was one of my reasons. That's why I think because his recruiting was so bad.
Yeah,
it's like even the past Florida coaches, there was so much hype about the recruiting.
So then to move on from this, University of Florida goes on. They hire Billy Napier. So for everyone that doesn't know, I'll give a little background research real quick on Napier. So he's the head coach at Louisiana, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, what the hell is that? What does that mean?" Blah blah blah. Listen to this, dude. He gets there in his first year in 2018. They go 7-7. They break even. All right, that's not terrible. Then they go 11-3, 10-1, and 11-1. That we're talking about a little what? They're not CUSA, Sunbelt School, Louisiana.
Yeah, Sunbelt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
very
Raging
good
Cajuns.
program. Now, this is two things real quick. First thing, I don't understand why they hired him so fast. They had a meeting with him on Tuesday and they hired him on Sunday. They went for the first guy they got and they took him. All right,
Yeah.
so that's a little questionable to me. And then the second thing I have to say is it kind of feels like UF is doing a Kirby Smart game plan here. You know, Billy Napier, has he proven to be really good in Louisiana? 100%. But that's not the SEC. But they're banking on, all right, he's coached with Saban. I'm hoping that he knows the ways to win and it'll translate. And you see it all the time with Cristobal, Mel Tucker, Kirby Smart, Lane Kiffin, all these guys. And you see in the NFL with Bill Belichick too, he loses all of his coaching staff. When you are consistently elite and winning, people want the people around you because they think they know the way. And I don't think that's always the case. And so far, only Kirby Smart and Jimbo have really proved that with the Nick Saban case, in my opinion. He's terrible.
I think the Florida AD just kind of looked like what you brought up the coaching record and goes, hey, this guy goes from a 7-7 season and goes to 11-3. This guy obviously knows how to recruit players. And that's what Florida needs is recruiting. Like that's when it comes down to it.
Yeah, but the thing is, he went from being the best recruiter in his conference to the 6th or 7th best recruiter in the SEC. That's the difference. That's the
hey, we'll see. Difference. We'll see. Come on, I got faith. Come on now. I know Elijah Mitchell. That's the name you'll know. He went to Louisiana last year for the rookie for the 49ers.
Yeah.
So realistically, coming from a UF fan, Shimmy, what do you think about the Napier hire? Especially now knowing that Brian Kelly and Lincoln Riley happened and that other big coaches are leaving.
Well, see, I would have loved Lincoln Riley, but I think he left specific. We'll get into that, but I think he left specifically for USC. I don't know if he necessarily would have come to UF from Oklahoma. Brian Kelly.
He didn't want to touch SEC football.
Yeah, no, not yet.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, no, he handpicked USC. There's a reason he also said no to LSU and all that. But like Brian Kelly, I mean, he went to LSU, so and I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of him. I know he's a good coach, but I wouldn't have been excited as a UF fan. I don't know much about Billy Napier. But if they hired him this fast, I feel like they know something that I don't. That like
it's for sure a wild card hire. It's a wild card hire.
And it sounds like the AD like loves the guy. Went with his gut if you hired him after one interview. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful.
My opinion on it is I think UF was a little nervous. They weren't going to get anyone, so they jumped the gun and got him. And now they see that they could have gotten someone bigger. They're kind of like, fuck, they're a little. Maybe we shouldn't have done that. They're kind of shooting themselves in the foot. But I just don't understand. You're the University of Florida. Like you can take all the time you need. There's hundreds of coaches out there that want to coach for you. I don't get why you had to jump on. Even if you like Napier, why not even interview other guys?
I mean, it gives him a head start now that he can probably join the team. Or I don't know if he's finishing the season out with Louisiana because a lot of coaches don't when they leave. But I don't know. I think it gives them a head start if they knew that's who they wanted and that's where they were going to go. I mean,
it's also an iffy hire because if you look at the past Florida coaches, they've hired Will Muschamp, McElwain, all those guys have come from pretty big. I would say. I mean, McElwain came from
Colorado State.
Yeah, Colorado State, which is still it's a well-established program. But I mean, getting a coach from the Sun Belt, it's kind of. I mean, it's nerve-wracking for sure to get a guy who hasn't really.
Unproven for sure.
Yeah, but he has proved to be able to coach against big schools because last year he beat a number 10 Iowa State team. So he definitely shows he can coach those caliber games. But that's the thing about the SEC is it doesn't matter if you can coach those games. It's the consistency because you're coaching those games week in and week out.
Yeah, every week.
You're coaching at Louisiana. You play Liberty, who's pretty solid. Coastal Carolina is pretty solid. App State is pretty solid. And then usually they play Texas. So that's 4. I give them 4 games out of a 12 season. You gotta bring your game. When you're in the SEC, it's about 10 to 11 games. You got to bring your game. Coach. So that's a big thing too. That's a huge argument why people don't want Cincinnati in there because they're like, Cincinnati couldn't do what they did in the week in, week out thing, But anyways, we'll move on from that. So what we already poked around a little and talked about is Lincoln Riley going to USC to be their head coach. I'm going to tell you right now, when I saw this, I don't remember. I think I was laying on my couch and I saw the notification. It was like Lincoln Riley to USC. My jaw dropped. I was like, because this year has already been insane, and that was the craziest out of the park. Like, I never would have thought ever he would have left Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a destination. Yeah. You talk about coaches climbing to get to a dream school. Oklahoma is that school, and he's had so much success. So I'm going to read you his contract, what we have so far. This isn't 100% confirmed, but it's what we know so far. Lincoln Riley's contract is $110 million. Okay. USC is buying both of his Norman homes for over $500,000 over the value, so $1 million each. And they bought him a $6 million home in LA, and they're giving him a 24/7 unlimited use for a jet pilot.
Yeah. How do you say no to that? Like, I don't know.
And you get to live in Southern California, Los Angeles. Yeah.
Well, let's say this. Here's a question: If someone gave that to Nick Saban, do you think he'd take it?
No, exactly. Probably not at this point.
Nick Saban's going to run for governor of Alabama. Yeah. He's not leaving there.
And that's kind of I'm not as surprised Lincoln left as I am he went to like another college. I could have seen him going to the NFL with all these young coaches being hired in the NFL. He was a rumored coach candidate for the Cowboys, I know, before they hired Mike McCarthy. So I'm more surprised about switching to another college team than leaving. But I mean, I could see USC, that is also a destination job, when Pete Carroll was there winning, we had Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart and all those teams. So it's definitely, it's up there too. I mean, I know what you mean though with leaving Oklahoma, but it's also this year was the perfect year to do it. If they had a down year for them, it was this year. So
I have a lot. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You go, Grayson.
I have a lot of thoughts and opinions on this. So my first one is Lincoln Riley made it very clear from the beginning that he never wanted them to go to the SEC.
Exactly.
He never hid from that. Which is one thing that you have to respect him a little. He stated in the beginning, he didn't come out and say, I disagree with it, but he made it very clear he didn't agree with it. He was not a fan of it. He didn't want to go to the SEC. He was already like,
when does that they don't officially switch to 2024, right?
Yeah, but either way, he's avoiding the SEC.
I hear that.
The next thing, I'm sorry.
Would he have stayed if they didn't, join the SEC? Would he have stayed? I mean, he's going to a Pac-12 conference, which has good teams, but you're not playing, like you're naming all those SEC schools. Like it's not the same.
You're playing Oregon and Utah is only two teams.
Exactly.
Yeah, really, yeah, and then now hopefully USC.
So
maybe Arizona State can get up there. They have.
The next thing I'm thinking is the whole time that before let's go to Saturday night. Okay, Oklahoma just happened. Up until then, this whole time I'm thinking he might go to LSU. LSU's talking about him like crazy. I completely forgot USC even had an opening. They're so irrelevant. I just forgot.
I feel like every year they're looking for a new head coach.
Literally, right? Yeah.
I think they fired their coach at early in the season.
Yeah, Clay Helton. They fired him very early.
They've had a vacancy for a long time.
Yeah,
too.
So that's why I forgot. And then in the post-game interview, they're like, we got to ask it. The season's over. And he's like, listen, guys, I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm not going to be the next coach at LSU. Next question. So I'm sitting there. I'm on my toilet pooping, watching ESPN on my phone. I'm sitting there. Oh, Lincoln Riley's staying. He's not going. Oklahoma's got him forever. He's good.
But that's your LA.
Next morning, it's like he's going to USC. I'm like, what the fuck?
I think that's to your SEC point. You know what I mean? Like he specifically said an SEC school that he wasn't going to go to.
Yeah.
And you're going to a 4-7 USC team that they went 4-7 this year. It's it's going to be a big rebuild. So
he's bringing a lot of 5-star recruits with him.
Yeah, he's bringing a lot of So basically, all the Oklahoma kids are coming with them, like that he's had committed. They already flipped.
Yeah. Coaches too, no.
The next thing I have to say is, before today, I was gonna come onto the pod, and I was gonna call Lincoln Riley a huge pussy and call him a bitch, and say he was running from the SEC and he's a coward. I was gonna shit on him. Okay. Do I think he is? Do I think he's a bitch for the way that he didn't tell his team and everything? 1,000%. But after putting my little, angry man inside of me to the side and like really just doing my homework, talk to some people, listen to some stuff, read some things. My take on what he did is a lot different. Okay, so before I start in, let me just talk about this. Our parents' era with sports was if you played the hardest schedule or you were a fighter and you fought the hardest, the best people, you got the most love, right? That's not really what today's generation is. And what I'm trying to say is, like, you look at guys like Kevin Lee just got cut from the UFC, fights one of the hardest schedules of all time. Tyron Woodley got cut from the UFC, fought one of the hardest routes of all time. Sugar Sean fights one of the easiest routes ever, makes more money than both those guys. All right. So what I'm trying to say is the generation that everyone wants to be in is, look at this coach that played all these hard teams. Look at this route. That's not the direction to go nowadays. Do you want to be James Franklin or Gus Malzahn, who goes 7-5 to 9-3 every year because they have to play such a hard schedule and they can never win a championship? Or do you want to be UCF Scott Frost, who gets to go to those games because they had an easier route? Or you get to be like Cristobal at Oregon because you had an easier route. And yeah, it might be the pussy thing to do, but the whole point is to make the most money and win championships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's going to do that at USC by avoiding the SEC. Yeah, he's kind of a bitch for it, but do you blame him? He's found an easier route. It's easier for recruiting. It's easier schedule. It's all easier to get to the playoffs for more money.
Yeah.
I honestly don't blame him. I really don't. And going into today, I thought he was a bitch, but I really think he made a right decision. I really do.
You see it with Cincinnati too. I mean, they're about to make the playoff. I mean, if Cincinnati, why can't USC the next couple of years? With the schedule they have.
Oh, and the Pac-12 is there to be won too. Yeah, it really is just Oregon.
It's anyone's championship.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is, like, I'm starting to sit back and not shit on those fighters like Sugar Sean anymore, and shit on the guys like Lincoln Riley.
It is a business, yeah.
Because they're playing the game.
Yeah.
They're trying to take the least amount of loss.
Yep.
With the most amount of wins, with the most amount of money.
Right.
Regardless of if you think it's a bitch move or not. And I think it's genius. I think Lincoln Riley's a genius for that move.
You want the easiest opponents for the most money.
And that's what Lincoln Riley's doing.
Right. And when you're undefeated at the end, like in 10 years from now, all people are going to look at is that undefeated record.
Yeah, you could also say, though, that Brian Kelly is doing the exact opposite.
That's what I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
We talked about Brian Kelly, yeah.
He even talked about it in his first press conference with the LSU team. He's saying he wants the best guys, the best facilities, the best. He literally said, "I want a hard schedule. I want to make it to the top." And obviously Notre Dame, they have a good schedule, but it's nothing like LSU will have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're independent. It hurts their chances too every year, like because they're actually not, the lack of a conference championship, I think, really hurts them from getting in, because now they're sitting out this week while everyone else is playing that has a chance to get in.
So to finish up real quick before we talk about the Notre Dame, just to tap right back into the Lincoln Riley. He's trying to bring defense coordinator Alex Grinch and co-offensive coordinator Bill, whatever the fuck his last name is,
Bedenbaugh,
the USC Bedenbaugh with him. And right now, Oklahoma is talking about bringing in Cliff Kingsbury. So Kingsbury said in an interview, not a topic I want to touch right now, his best record in doing very, very, very good in the NFL with Cardinals. Doing amazing. Okay. First of all, why the fuck would you want to leave that? Why would you want to leave that?
Right.
Second of all, he's not that good of a college coach. His best season was 8-4 at Texas Tech. And besides that, he didn't even make the bowl game the last 3 years there.
I think people just drool over the way he runs that offense. He's a mastermind for an offensive coordinator, and I think that runs really well with college. But I think a lot of NFL coaches, they laugh at the fact that when I'd say, reporters ask, would you go back to college? I think it's kind of they like Mike, or I don't know who it was, but they laughed at the question because, like, it's as much as it is fun to, like Brian Kelly is doing, he likes to improve 18 to 21-year-olds and make them a better person. In the NFL, you don't have to recruit. Like it's not saying it's easier, but
you say I want him, you get him.
What do you say?
It's a draft. If you say I want that kid, you get him.
Yeah, like a lot of coaches don't want to go back and recruit. It's
And I also think Cliff Kingsbury does also only have 1 year left on his contract, and so I think it's a negotiating tactic too. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, like I'm not going to talk about it right now. Hey, Arizona, give me a new contract. Like, I don't see him wanting to. Why would he leave Kyler? They're having so much success together, regardless of how the year ends. I don't.
Yeah, and like what Phil said too, like, coach, just because you're not a good college coach doesn't mean you can't be a good NFL coach. And just because you're a good NFL coach doesn't mean, like, it doesn't translate.
Yeah.
Some are better suited for. Yeah,
Exactly.
look at Saban. Like,
Saban, and then I always go back to it because I love the man, Greg Schiano. He was not that good of an NFL coach because he's very strict, disciplined. Like, we're gonna follow this path, which you can do to kids our age because we're still kids becoming adults and like we understand the rhythm, but you can't do it to a guy that's making $400 million for your team. He's gonna tell you to go fuck yourself. So it's just I think Kingsbury's laid backness translates better to the NFL than it did in college.
And I think there's something to be said for all the success all these young coaches are having in the league too, like with McVay, LaFleur, Kingsbury. I think there's something to be said with like that, the younger coaches having success.
So Bob Stoops, former Oklahoma legend, head coach, he's bringing in to coach the Oklahoma Bowl game, and so before we move on to Brian Kelly, because I think that's way more fun to talk about. If you're Oklahoma right now, okay, you're the AD. Who do you want? So obviously, I want Venables from Clemson.
Urban Meyer.
He already said he's not going. Fuck up.
That's what I'm talking about. Urban Meyer, I don't think he wants to go back to college and recruit.
He said he doesn't want to go back to college.
That goes with my point of recruiting.
Well, I think in 2 years he's not going to want to be in the NFL either. Like,
for how much he wants to be a family guy and focus on his health, I don't think he wants to go and coach college and have to go into a 5-star's house and eat dinner with family. Right. I mean, as much as that is such a good thing to do and to get players on your team, I just don't think he wants to do that anymore.
Yeah, so I think Venables, whatever you say, I think that's your guy if you're Oklahoma. There's actually a photo of his 2 sons in a car with DJ Ukage, whatever his last name is, throwing horns down.
Oh damn!
There's a photo of them in a car throwing horns down. Some people are saying that was after the Oklahoma-Texas game. So who the fuck knows? But
he's been a top tier defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So it's about time he gets a shot at it.
Dude, I was talking to my roommates about it.
I know, right?
I was like, Dabo's a great coach, unbelievable coach. But there's times where the only reason Clemson was relevant was because of their defense. And this season's a great example.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's in college, the killer defense, as much as it's fun to watch high-flying offenses, with the best defense still usually wins. I mean, look at Georgia this year, Alabama's dynasty. Like
Florida State when they won.
You're right. Clemson's a great example.
You're bringing up Florida State.
2014 Florida State, all starters on offense and defense with the NFL.
Hey, buddy, take it easy over there.
You're right. And I just think that if you give Oklahoma cannot go to the SEC with the defense they have now.
Oh no, they're gonna get and especially not if they're in Alabama's division with A&M and LSU.
Getting Venables, whatever the fuck his name is the best guy to make that defense SEC caliber.
Yeah, well, and being in the SEC will also help them recruit better defenders too. I think just by the style of play and all.
Yeah, it's not all on Dabo too for recruiting.
Yeah.
Do you think if Lincoln Riley? All right. So first thing, I think Lincoln Riley stays if Oklahoma doesn't join the SEC. I think he stays.
Yeah, I agree.
100%. That's my first opinion. And second of all, do you think if he did go with Oklahoma to the SEC, do you think he would find success?
I don't know, man. That's tough. I mean, how long has he been coaching at Oklahoma for?
6 years.
6 years, 5 or 6 years.
I mean, year in and year out, they're a playoff contender. So I think he could.
At Oklahoma, at an SEC, I mean, I want to say he could have success, but maybe he's telling us himself that he knows he wouldn't.
There's a tweet I saw that was like, Oklahoma coming to the SEC, they're literally just about to be a maroon Tennessee.
I mean, so far I know Spencer Rattler was a bust, but I mean he breeds some great quarterbacks. And
great
quarterback is Caleb Williams ain't a bust though.
Oh no, I mean, I don't know. You can't say that. Spencer Rattler had a great, what it was, first or second year he was in, was the Heisman favorite going in, and then he shits it. Who says Caleb Williams ain't going to do the same thing?
Isn't Caleb Williams following him to USC?
Well, he did take Oklahoma quarterback out of his Instagram bio.
So there you go. There
I
you
think
go.
he's doing that for clout.
USC needs a quarterback though.
I just want to tap. I know.
Have you guys ever heard of Jackson Dart?
I have not.
No.
Sounds like a quarterback
He's a
though.
true freshman. He played a couple games for USC this year. He's a
Oh
stud.
yeah, the blonde kid.
Yeah, 18 years old.
Yeah, he's good.
And his last name's Dart.
Oh no, he's a stud. He's a
Yeah,
stud.
Very good. Yeah, no,
He's
he's
a good
good.
quarterback name right there.
I think he's going to be. I think Lincoln Riley saw him, and I think he's going to turn him into a great.
Well, you just got that kid from what's the blue and red school in California?
Oh, there's Mater Day, St. John.
Yeah,
Bosco.
Mater Day. He just got the quarterback from Mater
Or I think
Day.
Mater Day is not. I think Mater Day is like green though. But St. John Bosco is another one.
I don't know. He got a kid from California that was
Someone
committed to
else,
Oklahoma
powerhouse.
that decommitted and went to USC. I just want to say one more. I keep bringing up Lincoln Riley. It's just the most bizarre to me. I got one more thing I want to say, and then we can move on. I'm going to go on an extreme hot take right now, and I'm going to say that Lincoln Riley never sees the same success at USC as he does at Oklahoma. And my reasons are for this. One, when he got Oklahoma, he was given a Bob Stoops Oklahoma team. Everything was set in stone for him. The tradition was there. All that was there. He doesn't get that at USC. My next thing is USC is so freaking hard to recruit to because you're in Los Angeles. Okay. You go back when we were in 8th grade to sophomore year, the Jim Mora era at UCLA, he had a top 10 recruiting class for 3 seasons in a row at UCLA, and over half of them left the team because they couldn't keep up their grades because they're partying too much in Los Angeles. Because you're giving a 5-star kid who's basically the closest thing to an athletic celebrity, right? And you're bringing him into Los Angeles. No one really gives a fuck about football. They want to party. So these kids are going and partying. And the last thing is the support system from the school. So USC is not back. They'll never be back. And they're nowhere near what they're going to be because there is no college atmosphere there. The kids that go to school there don't care about the sports. There's not a town vibe. They're in Los Angeles. People would rather go party than go watch the USC game. Versus when he's at Oklahoma, Norman backs the school. There's sold out games, regardless how good they are. Every sport, there's a whole support cast. That brings in the culture. That brings in recruits. He's going to get recruits because it's USC, but he's not going to build a culture like he had. And I don't think he's going to see the same success. He has an easier route, and I think he might win the Pac-12 a couple times, maybe. I think Cristobal is going to stay at Oregon and smash him for the beginning. But I don't see him succeeding and making the playoffs and the Heisman quarterbacks that he had at Oklahoma. That's my hot take.
I have a little take. I mean, I would say the take of that he would have success would be, I mean, for how bad USC did this year, 4-7, the team isn't that good, obviously. But I think having Lincoln Riley there and his recruiting, I think young players are going to want to go play for him, and they're going to want to play. Kids coming out of high school that are going to these top schools, they start from when they're freshmen to when they're seniors. They want to go to a school that they can start right away, and I think USC has that possibility. And I think he has the right. I think he'll have the right coaching staff and his playbook to make a good team out of it and have those young players start well. That's why that Jackson Dart kid, I think he's 18 years old. Lincoln Riley's going to have him for a couple of years, and I think he's going to turn him into a stud.
Yeah, I see him having some success there. I think he's gonna actually be able to recruit there. I think there's something to be said for having success in LA. I think because you are right, Grayson. People don't care about like LA stuff like that until they start winning. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's like that for every school. I mean, I don't know. I would say schools like Florida and like you said, Oklahoma, they're always going to back their team. Even like teams like Texas, obviously
Yeah, but look at Texas, Miami. Well, not Texas, but like
Miami. But I mean,
USC.
like,
big city schools are fucking hard, man.
They are hard. No, they are hard. They are hard. But because you are right about it's less. Their fan base isn't all relying on the students. They need like the general populace around to be excited about the team too. Like, when Miami was dominating, the like Orange Bowl wasn't filled up with a bunch of students. It was a bunch of grown people too that were just as excited to watch them. So I think that's kind of what Lincoln's shooting for in LA. But
I mean, the Rose Bowl stadium, it's outdated. I mean, but people still love that stadium. But I think having a coach like Lincoln Riley, I think it's going to get people excited and want to,
I just think geographics, it's and I'm speaking from You look at Giannis. Giannis said it. He said it himself. He said, if I wasn't with the Milwaukee Bucks and I was in LA or I was at somewhere that was party crazy, he's like, my focus wouldn't be the same. I wouldn't be the same caliber player I am today. So I never believed this. I always thought it was complete bullshit. Then I moved down south to Boca Raton, Florida. And my first 2 years here were not the same intensity or consistency in my training due to the distractions.
Yeah.
Now I'm older. I'm more mature. I want it more than I want to party. That's different. But I'm talking about a young 18-year-old kid that's never had distractions in his life. You are now giving him the biggest platform of distractions he's ever had ever, and asking him to still focus on football.
In LA,
I think it's really fucking hard.
Yeah, it's the recruiting is going to become even more important to get the right kids, But I think it's possible. I'm excited to see it, though. I'm rooting. I think we need more teams on the West Coast that are national.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. Yeah, I like that.
One last thing before we move on. I know we kind of went over the Bob Stoops thing, but I think that was a great decision by Oklahoma to have him come back. I think it'll give the fan base a little happiness, a little nostalgia, and I think that was a perfect move for them to have him come in and help out for a little bit. So
it's definitely going to help. I think
one plus.
I think that is the most genius move ever. Instead of making a coordinator an interim, because he's going to come back. Because what you need right now is you need unity. You need your team to come back together. Right now they are divided and they're broken up. Bob Stoops is an Oklahoma legend. He's coming back and he's like, I still believe in the school. I still believe in the system. So that's comfort and that's going to bring unity to that team. Well, and you hear I know I'm dick riding my schools, but Barry Alvarez at Wisconsin does it all the fucking time. He coaches the bowl game, which brings the team back together when you have a huge coach leave. I think it's a genius idea. Realistically, he's not going to do that much coaching, bro. He's going to stand there and overwatch it, and he's going to let the coordinators run the game.
Yeah, of course. I think going back to Florida, but I'm a Florida fan just like Ethan. But like how cool would it have been if they brought like Steve Spurrier?
Right. Yeah, no, that would have been cool.
One game, how crazy Florida. Like they would have been like, who cares about Dan Mullen getting fired? We got Steve Spurrier for one game. Like that's awesome.
Dude, I've heard people throw Tim Tebow's name around.
Oh, I did. I heard that too. I did hear that. That's a far stretch.
That would be awesome though, just for the bowl game. That'd be.
But for how much Tim Tebow? He played baseball for the Mets. Why not? Like if he's trying to stay relevant and.
Yeah, right. He's an anchor on ESPN. He would give the best pregame
with a headset.
No, I couldn't imagine it, honestly. That's
khaki pants and a tucked-in collared shirt, just sitting there, coach.
He's Tebowing before the game too.
Oh yeah, that would have been. Yeah.
So talking a lot about Lincoln Riley. Let's move on to I think what's even more interesting is Brian Kelly to LSU. So Brian Kelly announced he's going to LSU. It was blown up on social media before he got to tell his team. And his contract, I'm trying to pull it up. So his contract is 10 years, $95 million. That's before incentives kick in. And he gets every single year he's there, he gets an initial $500,000 bonus. So it's going to be around $105 million value, which is insane. Other incentives in the contract, $75K for playing in the SEC championship, $150K for winning it, $500K for becoming bowl eligible, $100K for New Year's Six Bowl, $200K for college football playoff, $300K for semifinals, $300K for finals, $500K for winning the NCAA, $50K for SEC Coach of the Year, and $75K for National Coach of the Year. They are just throwing their money at Brian Kelly. They're just like, take our money, take it all.
I think LSU.
You go.
I think LSU obviously is all bought in into. They had a little taste of a national championship, 2 years ago, and they thought that they had the right, system to keep on with that tradition of, being a top two team every year or top four, for the college playoff system. And that obviously hasn't happened. So I think they got a little greedy and was like, hey, we had this in 2019. Why did it stop? And, they needed to change something and they want to keep that going. So.
Yeah. So what's crazy to me is, it's like what you were just saying, Phil, like he's doing a reverse Lincoln Riley. He's going towards competition.
Yeah.
But there's so many things to think about here. And the first thing I think you got to unpack is he's leaving because he doesn't think he can win a national championship at Notre Dame.
That's exactly what it is. And I think he's right. I agree.
They need I think, and this is another hot take, I think until Notre Dame gets into a conference, they're not a coaching destination that people want to coach at anymore. They're
He's
not.
been at Notre Dame for
I think there's
12
12
years.
years, dude. 12.
He did all he could for Notre Dame. I mean,
Yeah, he really
did
did.
everything. Like, there's not much else. I don't think I think he realized he's hit his ceiling at Notre Dame, and I think the ceiling for LSU is just so
Way
much higher. And he knows that he can get that team up there and past,
Yeah, so I agree with that 100%, Phil. I think it's more of because let's be real. If he was like, "Yo, Notre Dame, look where they're going to pay me," Notre Dame would have matched it. They're $1 billion school. Like that's nothing.
Yeah.
He wants to win, and I am in no way whatsoever a Brian Kelly fan, nor am I a Notre Dame fan. I fucking hate Notre Dame, but he is the winningest coach in Notre Dame history, and he's the second winningest active coach outside of Nick Saban right now. Okay, and on top of that, I don't think Lincoln Riley's going to do good at USC, but I think Brian Kelly's going to do good at LSU for this exact reason. The most importantly is how goddamn good of a recruiter he is. Notre Dame is one of the absolute hardest schools in the entire country to recruit to because of how strong of a Catholic faith it is, as well as it has no Greek life. So it's really hard to get students, like, the kids involved with the student community. And you have to actually have good grades. Okay.
Yeah, that's the hardest.
With all those factors being said, and they're not in a conference, so your kid knows he can never be a conference champ. With all four of those factors being said, all right, he currently has the number 2 recruiting class in the country for next season and the number 4 recruiting class right now for Notre Dame. Imagine what he's going to bring in to an LSU where you literally need a high school diploma to get into the school. Okay. Imagine the recruits he's going to get there, and they're in the SEC.
Yeah, I think that's it's the school, their history of winning now, their history of NFL players, current NFL stars in the league. It's just a different level than Notre Dame. And that's not to take away from Notre Dame's history. They're like arguably more of a historic program than LSU. They probably are, like back when Lou Holtz was a coach and all that. But from where they are now, like it really is LSU with the SEC where they're at. I think it's a better job for sure. And not being in a conference, I think really hurts Notre Dame. Imagine if they were just in the ACC. They'd be in the ACC championship game this weekend.
They'd be in the playoff.
Have a chance to get in the playoff. Yeah, if they won. So it is. Yeah, I think he's going somewhere where he can win a national championship. That's what his goal is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the amount of former players LSU has in the NFL, and it's, year in and year out, they got players coming out of there. And I think going back to what you said about the how Notre Dame could have paid him, him or Lincoln Riley, they didn't give Oklahoma or Notre Dame a chance to even match that, right?
They wanted out, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
they were both
Lincoln Riley. I know with Lincoln Riley, LSU sent out a contract for like $98 million or something, and Oklahoma said they weren't going to match it.
Okay, yes.
Wow.
But I know but let's be real, Notre Dame would have matched it.
They definitely could have. They could have. But I think also
I'm sorry, Ethan.
Cool. Could Oklahoma offer Lincoln Riley a private jet and like a beachside home, and like that's the other things too. I think it's a whole combination of all of that.
So the thing about LSU, that going back to the recruiting that I'm saying, I think Brian Kelly, I'm not dissing on him as a coach. I think he's just as good as all those SEC coaches. You see that in Notre Dame. He's beaten teams with shittier Notre Dame teams than the team they're playing. Like, he's proved he can coach. And a big factor of the SEC is recruiting. But about going to an LSU, that school recruits in itself. And what I'm saying is, when they found out Ed Ogeron was leaving, they didn't lose any recruits. All the kids stayed because they weren't committing to Ed Ogeron. They were committing to LSU. So now you're getting a school in which already gets commits alone in its name, and a guy that gets his own recruits in his name. I think he's about to make a powerhouse right now at LSU. I think he is. I think something hot is brewing in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, like we have in the notes, like they're number 4 recruiting class in 2022, number 2 in 2023. Like if you can do that at Notre Dame, I think the sky's the limit for LSU. I mean, hopefully, but only time will tell.
So the thing is too, is a lot of people are wondering, how's he going to be? I think this is the only issue, and I wouldn't call it a red flag. I don't think it's that big of an issue, but he went to recruiting a Catholic school in the fucking freezing cold to Southern Louisiana, Baton Rouge. All right, that's a completely different culture. I wonder if he's going to be able to still keep those Southern boys coming in.
I know Ed could.
No, yeah, Ed love him. He talk about getting crawfish with him and stuff.
No, I'm gonna miss him coaching LSU for sure. He was always a fun guy to.
He's definitely going to get a good job though. He's a great coach. He's proved his quality.
Hopefully. That's what I'm saying. I don't like. Does he go back to being a coordinator? Does he find a head coaching job somewhere? I don't like. Does he go into a smaller does he go to the Sun Belt or something like that? Who knows?
I say he goes to Notre Dame. Notre Dame somehow gets in the playoffs, and he coaches an Natty with Brian Kelly's team while Brian Kelly's at LSU.
Be the second time, yeah. No, I think Orgeron
They'd make a movie. They would make a movie after that.
Yeah, they would. I think Orgeron will probably get a head coaching job. He may have to. I mean, he's going to be a step back from LSU, but I could still see him being like a conference like the SEC.
He might even wait out a year. I mean, LSU, they bought him out for like $19 million. Like
he still gets 11 million or something like that, right?
Yeah, he's 60 years old. Like
right. Yeah, see what jobs open up next year.
Exactly. Wait till next year. See, find something that.
Or I could see Matt Campbell at Iowa State leaving and going to
I could see him leaving.
Going to Notre Dame, and then I could see Orgeron taking over Iowa State.
That would be awesome.
But you think he'll go to Notre Dame though? I think that's the next thing on the list is Notre Dame, the candidates to replace Kelly. I like this Marcus Freeman. He played linebacker at Ohio State. I know he's a fan favorite, but Fickle is also a great choice.
They gave him the coaching job.
They did they?
No, he's not. He's not hired. No, he's not.
Are you sure?
Yes, he's not hired. He is the number one candidate, they said. But
everyone wants him.
But Notre Dame said they're doing an unorthodox method and they're going to wait out the season before they announce a coach. And they said they are extremely interested in interviewing Luke Fickell.
Oh, yeah.
So I could see – because think about it realistically, Phil. Say they hire Marcus Freeman, right?
Yeah.
They somehow get into the playoffs and they get absolutely butt-fucked first game. That looks very bad for him for the next upcoming years.
Notre Dame, though, what do you think the reason why Brian Kelly left? Because they go to the playoffs.
I agree, but it looks a lot better to let him not be his team yet, and then he take it over.
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs to begin with.
So I think there's a pro and con to keeping Freeman. Okay, your pro is the culture of the kids you recruited and the team you have there stays. Exactly. The kids, it's the same program, it's the same system. He's a black coach, so he's probably going to actually keep them stronger together, which might benefit them as well. That's going to help them. The con is he doesn't know past the success that he's had with Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
You're not getting a guy that's won championships. You're not getting a guy that's even been in championships. So
has Luke Fickell though? Like, I mean, maybe this year, but I think wasn't Marcus Freeman also a defensive coordinator under Luke Fickell before he was hired at Notre Dame? I am pretty sure I read that somewhere. I
don't know, but I know Luke Fickell is a very, very, very dedicated, devout Catholic man who goes to church every Sunday with his family, and a lot of fans like that as well.
Yeah,
but if I'm personally,
a lot of the boosters probably like it.
If I Grayson Fisher right now was Luke Fickell and I'm in his shoes,
well, yeah,
I'm flirting with the job at Notre Dame. I'm getting my money from Cincinnati, making sure we go into the Big 12, and then I'm staying in Cincinnati. I don't think he should go to Notre Dame. I'm saying if I'm Luke Fickell, yes.
Yeah, so I'm sorry to interrupt. Marcus Freeman was the defensive coordinator at Cincinnati under Luke Fickell, though, before coming to Notre Dame.
But the recruits, they've said that if Marcus Freeman's not the head coach, I'm decommitting from Notre Dame. The top three, I think I put down. Yeah, the number 3 outside linebacker, he's said, if he's not the head coach next year, me and a bunch of other people that are going to Notre Dame aren't going to be there. And for having a top 4 class, top 2 class in the next couple years, it's pretty big. But I think
I'm sorry.
You're good. Go.
So if we are Notre Dame, who are you hiring? Who are you getting right now?
I think if they haven't done it yet, they're obviously waiting for Luke Fickell, and it's a totally different situation how like with Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly, because they've been there, done that, been to the playoff, had the success. I think Luke Fickell would never do that to Cincinnati and be like, even I bet because his agent, I'm sure he's told his agent, I don't want any distractions, any calls from Notre Dame. I'm stuck at Cincinnati right now. He doesn't want any distractions from his players. He's trying to focus on now, wait till after the season, and then go from there. I think Notre Dame's waiting for what he says, and if he says no, I think they'll go with Marcus Freeman.
So I'm not 1,000% sure, but I'm pretty sure Luke Fickell was born and bred in Ohio. Like he's an Ohio man. Like
oh yeah, that's not. Well, I also was reading if Ryan.
That's where I'm trying to go with this.
He's waiting for Ryan Day to go to the NFL so he can take that Ohio State job.
Yeah, but if Cincinnati goes to the Big 12, why leave? Because they're going to upgrade all their facilities. They're going to have Power 5. They're going to have the same tie-ins. It looks better for his legacy if he turns Cincinnati into an Ohio State than if he just does what Ohio State does.
Yeah, he'll have a statue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. Is he going to be able to do that, though? There's argument whether they should get it. They may not even win this weekend and may not even make the playoff. Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves with Cincinnati. Again, I know them moving to the Big 12, Notre Dame's still a bigger job and Ohio State's a way bigger job regardless. So I still think I would.
But legacy-wise.
But also, I think Luke Fickell, he coaches a Cincinnati team that those Cincinnati players, that most of them are staying till their senior year. Mm-hmm. So he gets that time with them to coach them for 4 years and finally I haven't checked the roster of what year every player is in, but if he goes to Notre Dame, those guys are leaving, their junior year. So how much time does he have to build those players in Notre Dame? And, if at Cincinnati, it might just be a boom or bust season where he's finally got all of his guys that he's recruited, and next year it's going to be a whole totally different story.
The Cincinnati senior class right now with Ritter and all those guys, they're 43 and 6 with
exactly. So those guys are going to be leaving. Who knows what kind of coach he's going to, he's got to wait another 3-4 years to get that Cincinnati team that they're having this year,
That's a really good stat, though. By the way, 43 and 6 as a senior. Yeah. That's pretty fucking awesome.
That's like an awesome. That's like there was some crazy stat a while, like every senior, or if you had played 4 years at Alabama for
like 2 rings or something.
Yeah, for some crazy amount of time, like it was.
That's what makes Nick Saban so good. Those guys are he knows those guys are leaving after 2-3 years.
Yeah.
It's a factory. They are a football factory.
So. Back to the question, though.
Cincinnati's not a football factory. Those guys coming in aren't gonna make a freshmen or sophomores aren't gonna make a big impact.
Right. Well, and it's even like we could look at it like in a few years, like how many teams from this potential top college football playoff team are even going to be in the NFL. I'm sure they have a few, but
yeah,
I
think.
Well, I mean, they got a kid, Kobe Bryant, who's got like 1,200 snaps as a junior as a DB, and he's had 0 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's going to be a top 10 pick, I think.
Yeah, he's gross.
Yeah,
yeah. And Cincinnati's had good players, but I mean, Kelsey went to Cincinnati. Like, it's not like they've never had anybody.
Yeah, they're not like a UTSA who came out of nowhere. Like they've been good. They've been good before.
They've been solid.
But they've been solid. Top 25 team. The past.
Yeah.
He's for sure. This isn't just out of nowhere. He's for sure a well-renowned, great coach.
Yeah, but going back to the question though. Going back to the question, if you're Notre Dame, who are you getting? So Ethan, we got Phil thinks Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, I agree with Phil. I think Marcus Freeman is. I feel like it's an obvious choice. Like in terms, like he, what's his name? Brian Kelly wants him to come to LSU to be his defensive coordinator. Like I think he's a very sought after guy. I think it says something that all the players want him. And I also know the linebacker. Marcus Freeman played linebacker, so I'm sure that has something to do with it too. But I think he's a Notre Dame guy, like in terms of being there the last couple of years, their defensive coordinator, knowing the players. So
yeah,
I think Fickell would be a great hire too, though. But I would go with Freeman.
I just think if you're Notre Dame and you're the athletic director or the big boosters, and you want to keep the Notre Dame tradition alive and how it's been running, and you like how it is, you go with Freeman. If you're scared to change, then you go with Freeman. But if you want to roll the dice and get a wild card coach who has shown success at a smaller school, you go with Fickell.
I think you should definitely. I don't have an opinion, to be honest. I think I'm a big Luke Fickell fan. I like what he did at Cincinnati, and I just think his players love him. And I'm a big proponent of your head coach should be a second father to you. I've always thought that my whole life. I've left certain MMA gyms because I didn't have that connection with the coach. Like, I'm a big believer that, like, my high school wrestling coach is literally like a second father to me. I'd call him right now, tell him something happened, and you get that vibe with Luke Fickle a lot. I don't know if you're going to get that with Marcus Freeman as much due to the age gap. You know, he's a little younger. He'll be more like a brother vibe. But I think if I'm Notre Dame, I'm definitely interviewing Fickle. Regardless of if I want him or not, I'm definitely trying to see what he has to say.
Well, I think they're going to. I think there's
see what he says.
too many of like the boosters probably want him. I think they're gonna, and that's probably why they said they're doing this unorthodox approach where they're gonna wait till the end because they know they don't want to interfere while they're competing for the playoffs.
Oh, they said it. They said they're waiting specifically for him. Like, they made that very clear.
Yeah, it's not like Brian Kelly, who had a chance at the playoff and is leaving. You know, Luke Fickle has put his blood, sweat, and tears into shaping this Cincinnati team into the way it is, and he doesn't want to do that.
Right. Notre Dame needs like 4 teams to lose for them to get.
No, they don't. They need 2.
3, right?
They only need 2.
Or we'll get into that. You want to get into that now? Is that the next thing?
Yeah. Well, before we get into that, let's talk about this weekend, conference championships. Arguably the most fun weekend in college football. I just want to go through these and see what you guys think and who you got winning. So first game, we got our FAU conference, Ryan Conference USA Championship, 8-4 Western Kentucky versus 11-1 UTSA. I feel so bad for UTSA, man. They went every game and they lost rivalry weekend to go undefeated. So that sucks. There's a lot of hype behind this quarterback for Western Kentucky. I don't know if you guys heard about Bailey Zapp. So he used to play D2 at Houston Baptist College, something like that, HBC or something like that, where he like broke all the records. And right now he has 4,968 yards, 52 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and a 76.5 average QBR. He is 8 touchdowns away. He has 2 games left. He's 8 touchdowns away from tying Joe Burrow's NCAA records for most touchdowns in the season.
Heisman.
Yeah,
It is very, very, very good and can sling the ball. And everything I've read is Western Kentucky beating UTSA for some odd reason. Western Kentucky at minus 3.5.
They're favored by minus 3.5.
Yeah, I think UTSA wins, bro. It's in Texas. It's at UTSA. It's in Texas. They went 11-1 for a reason. I understand everyone's fucking jerking this kid off for being so good, but I think UTSA handles business.
UTSA I think have always had a great defense, so this is a great matchup. I think they're really going to see how good this Zapp QB is. I think in the past season they've had a couple defensive players go to the NFL.
Yeah,
I think
at the end go like round 1 a couple.
Yeah. It's going to be a good matchup for sure. I think it's going to be a defensive battle for UTSA.
I'm going UTSA. Definitely take. I'm going UTSA plus 3.5.
I honestly can't pick this game. I've watched like 30 seconds of probably UTSA.
I don't know. This QB seems legit, but I think UTSA's defense hold them down.
Have they played this year yet?
I don't know. I think they might have been one of those conference games where they missed each other.
Yeah.
No, UTSA beat them 52-46 in a shootout.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, the over is 72.5.
Damn, bro, but they're putting up points.
Yeah.
59 points, 38, 33, 48, 52, 43, 34, 45, 48, 42, 52.
Talking about Zapp?
Yeah, no, Western Kentucky.
Throwing 52 touchdowns, they better be putting up that many.
They're putting up 38 minimum a game. Jeez, that's going to be take the over.
That's a lock.
Take the over. I accidentally just exited out of that. So I think the next game is Oregon and Utah for the Pac-12.
That's tomorrow night. Yep.
Yeah. What are we thinking about that game?
Utah just beat Oregon actually to knock them out of the playoff picture last time they played. So I think this is a big rematch game for Oregon. I kind of see them handling business, getting their revenge.
Utah's a minus 2.5, by the way. What do you think?
Hey, maybe I'll take that bet.
It's number 10 Oregon at 10-2, number 17 Utah at 9-3. Utah minus 2.5. We got an Oregon pick on Shimmy. What are we thinking, Phil?
I honestly would go with Oregon. I think that I love that head coach. I honestly wanted him to coach. I wanted Florida to go for him so badly.
Ooh, I would have liked that. I hadn't heard that at all from anybody.
He's a good coach. I think that would have fit the Florida program, but I mean, he obviously he's staying.
No,
With
he likes Oregon. Oregon's a top tier
I don't
program.
even think Florida even looked at him, but I thought that would have been a great fit for Florida.
Yeah, I'm also gonna go Oregon. I don't like the Pac-12 at all, and I don't even like
Mario
Oregon.
Cristobal.
But I really like Mario Cristobal. I think he's a very good coach. I don't think that the loss to Stanford was his fault. I just think it's hard to coach in the Pac-12, dude. Like,
It seems like almost every Pac-12 team has a bad loss on the road.
so
Pac-12,
I think I like him a lot though. I think he's built a culture there, and I don't think Oregon's had a culture since Chip Kelly. So I think I like him a lot. I don't see him losing twice to the same team in the season.
Yeah,
I think I don't think it's gonna go this way, but I could see it with Oregon being like fuck you and blowing them out.
I could say, I think Utah is always solid. They're always pretty good. But I think for me, it is the biggest thing is like, it's really hard to beat a team twice, especially a team like Oregon. I think there's that revenge factor. Yeah. There's always a question of like, when you had a playoff chance and then you fell short, like where's the motivation factor at? But I think having lost to them already is going to like give them that fire.
Also the factor of, this is a championship game. So
yeah, it is.
I was thinking of, I know a lot of bowl games come around, a lot of
right.
Well, the winner goes to a New Year's Six bowl.
Exactly. Yeah, they're not.
Yeah. Well, doesn't the winner of this game go to the Rose Bowl? So this is a huge game, actually.
Unless the Rose Bowl is a playoff game, I don't know how that.
That's right. Because the Rose Bowl, I know, is always it's usually in the Big Ten champion and the Pac-12 champion.
Yeah, no, that's what it's supposed to be. But with everything now, it's so different. Who knows?
It is. But yeah, I think the playoff games are dependent. It's either like the Sugar Bowl, it depends on who's in it.
So yeah, we're all going to Oregon. Next game, I think this is the best game. In equal wise is Baylor, Oklahoma State for the Big 12. We got number 9 Baylor at 10-2, number 5 Oklahoma State 11-1, Oklahoma State a -5.5. I love both coaches. I really like Dave Arenado at Baylor. He used to be the Wisconsin defense coordinator. Then he went to LSU. Now he's the head coach at Baylor. And who doesn't like Mike Gundy?
No, yeah,
the guy's a fucking savage, bro.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I feel
like he's been their coach for a long time now too.
So the thing that's interesting about it is these are the only 2 teams in the Big 12 that like actually kind of have a defense. You know, Oklahoma State's DBs are very solid this season, and Baylor's their head coach is a defense coordinator. Like literally, that's where he's from. So I think it's going to be a really, really, really well played game. I think Oklahoma State's loss is to Baylor.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. It is.
Yeah, no, it's Iowa State.
No, I thought you meant Baylor has a loss to Oklahoma.
Yeah, Baylor lost by 10 to Oklahoma State.
And who is their second loss?
Give me like 30 seconds. They're both Big 12. Baylor's second loss was
TCU by 2 points.
TCU, that's what. Okay, yeah, because I knew, and then Oklahoma State's loss
was to. I just looked at it.
I mean, they
Iowa State to Iowa State.
The question is, Oklahoma State beat Oklahoma.
They beat Baylor.
So is Baylor. So
dude,
they beat them 27-14. So I mean,
this game to me is the hardest to pick because I think both of these teams can beat each other.
I agree.
I think it's going to be a really, really good game.
Oklahoma State's not only playing for the Big 12 championship, they're playing for a chance to get into the college football playoff.
But Baylor kind of sort of is too, though.
Well, I don't see a 2-loss. We'll get to that. But for the reason that you pointed out, Notre Dame's going to get in over any 2-loss conference champion.
Not if they're a conference champion.
No, they will. Even with 2 losses, I still see Notre Dame getting in.
Right. Regardless, we'll get on to that. I want to take Oklahoma State, but part of me has this feeling that they shit the bed all the time. That because
they're not going to make the playoff. Yeah.
But if I had a gun to my head and I had to pick a team, I'm going with Mike Gundy's experience. I'm going Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I am too.
Gundy's been there before. He's a great coach. He's been there. Dave Arenado has been there as a coordinator, but not as a head coach.
Yeah, I got Oklahoma State too. I want more college football playoff possibilities, so I want them to get that done.
What do you think, Phil?
I'm right there with you with Gundy, 100%. I think after that him coaching that Oklahoma game was, I think, probably one of his best games ever coached. And I think he's just going to roll with that and keep going on to Baylor.
So the next three, I don't think really anyone gives a shit about, but we'll just give our opinion. We got the MAC championship, 7-5 Kent State,
Don't hate on the
8-4
MAC.
Northern
Don't
Illinois.
hate on the MAC.
Northern
going-
Illinois is gonna wash
Yeah,
them.
I'm going with Northern Illinois just
They're
because
gonna
they're a
wash
more
them.
historic program and they're a better record. I'd have
They
to watch.
should, I think Northern Illinois is actually pretty good this year too. I think, well, relatively.
I'm going Northern Illinois.
Kent State barely beat Miami of Ohio last week. It was like 48-4. They won by like 1 point, so they barely made it into the to win the East. But yeah, I think what's it called?
Northern Illinois,
Yeah, Northern Illinois is going to take it.
NIU.
So next we got the Mountain West, which is
Kent State's favorite. I'm sorry, but I know
yeah. So we're going with the Mountain
Wow.
West next.
Wow.
And honestly, I might be going on a limb here, but I think sometimes Mountain West is better than Pac-12. I don't think this year it
They have
was.
better teams sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some like
So-
maybe one team will be better, but
But
yeah.
I think
Why
it's,
use
it's
that?
9-3 Utah State versus number 19 San Diego State 11-1.
that's what it is. San Diego State.
I gotta go San Diego State, dude. They are a very good program, and I feel like I'm gonna be completely honest. I feel like they don't get enough recognition recently.
No,
They have
they
been
don't.
consistently good with running backs breaking NCAA records.
Well,
Donnell
yeah,
Humphrey,
fair.
like
Who's
they-
the-
what?
Who's the running back that I mean, yeah, Melvin Gordon broke the record, and then like a game later he did at San Diego State. I forgot his name.
No, that was Oklahoma. Melvin Gordon broke it, and the Oklahoma kid broke it after. The San Diego kid broke the most rushing yards in the season.
Oh, you're right.
But
Oh,
Donnell
right.
Humphrey's his name.
But Utah State is also usually pretty
Yeah, they're
good.
also a pretty good
Yeah,
historic
they're
program.
also
I think that's gonna be a
solid.
fun game. But I think San Diego State's a better team.
I think they are the better team. That's one of those ones I could see Utah State pulling off an upset.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd bet on them, but
So next we got CUSA, or excuse me, I'm so sorry. Sun Belt Conference, App State versus Louisiana. 10-2 App State, 11-1 Louisiana, number 24 team in the country. App State's a -3.
wow.
Is Napier even coaching this game?
I don't know. I
That
do
is a
not
good-
know.
that's
the
a good
I
situation.
mean, knowing Napier, I think he would. Just
I don't.
saying.
Well, I don't think he will. I don't think the players want to play for him.
I don't know, man. For how small of a school they are, I think why not have them try to win a championship.
And they're good too. They have I know their quarterback's is lefty. He's pretty good. He was a quarterback with Elijah Mitchell last year.
Yeah. New Florida Gators coach Billy Napier fully intends to coach the Raging Cajuns against the App State in the Sun Belt Championship game.
All right, then I got them.
I got Louisiana.
Yeah, they'll win their last game under
Yeah,
Billy.
they're gonna do it for him.
It's so hard to bet against App State.
It is because they play a good schedule every year too.
Yeah, every year they play a good
They
schedule.
always hold their own in games,
Yep. They really
especially
do.
in a championship game like this.
Don't they play? I feel like they play Miami almost every year.
Dude, they're a good team, bro. App State's a very good team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Weren't they they were the ones that beat Michigan at Michigan all the remember while the yeah.
So next is arguably the biggest game of all time. SEC Championship. Number 1 UGA, number 3 Alabama. UGA is a -6.5.
Oof.
12-0 Georgia, number 1 in the country. 11-1 Alabama, number 3 in the country. I think it's going to be a very close first half, and I think Georgia's going to eat them alive in the second half. I just think I think we saw Alabama struggle against LSU's front seven, against Texas A&M's front seven, and against Auburn's front seven, and none of those front sevens are even somewhat near what Georgia's front seven is.
Yeah.
Georgia's got like 10 NFL players on their
It's
defense.
just going to come down to quarterback play, honestly. I mean, Bryce Young, he's a great young quarterback. I think he has the chance to show why he's a Heisman favorite in this game. And
This is his chance to win the Heisman too.
Yeah, it's going to be a dogfight. And I think there's a chance that, Georgia's quarterback's not as good as Bryce Young. And I think it's going to be a quarterback battle.
I think they're starting Stetson.
Yeah, they're starting Bennett.
Yeah.
That's the mobile one, right? That's the one. He's the smaller one. That Stetson's the. I think I know because I just remember I was watching the Florida Georgia game until it got out of hand, but I'm pretty sure they started Stetson Bennett in that game too. I think Georgia's defense is going to be too much. I'm hoping it's a close game. I'm hoping Bama can keep it close till the fourth quarter, and then Bryce Young will have a chance to win it. but it is a tough matchup for Bama. This
The
might
home
have been
game
the year.
for Georgia.
What's up, too? Oh, yeah, it is a home. Yeah. Yeah. But Georgia hasn't beat Alabama yet with Kirby Smart. So,
I think this is his year to do it for sure.
yeah, it's got to happen eventually.
I think so everyone's talking about like, yeah, the defense of Georgia is gonna slaughter. Like Grayson got sacked like 5 times against Auburn. I just think that Alabama's defense is gonna give Georgia's offense some struggle, but dude, I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia's defense doesn't even put up numbers. Like they might even score.
Yeah, it's scary to look at the past couple of games that Alabama's played and how close, it was a dogfight with Arkansas. They barely beat Auburn. Like those to make it to the championship, you're going to play a Georgia team who's hit the over every game, every half. They've blown people out. Like you just can't be winning. You can't be beating Arkansas by a touchdown.
Dude, you want a crazy statistic? That's Georgia's defense.
Yeah.
For SEC games, they are allowing 5.5 points per game.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my buddies. I wanted to see the stat of if you would have bet like every spread for each half, each quarter for Georgia, and see how much money you could have made. Because I don't think they've hit. I feel like they've hit almost every over.
They are very, very, very not bad.
Yeah, I think it's going.
I can't remember the last time Alabama. I mean, has Alabama's previous teams have played as good as Georgia has this year, right?
Well, defensive wise.
Yeah, I mean, defensive wise, of course, but I mean the way that they've won games.
It's like they bully. They literally bully.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, Alabama obviously their championship.
Alabama's offense has been way better than this Georgia offense.
There's been overall better Alabama teams, but I don't think we've seen a deep. I think this is the best.
Yeah.
If they finish these next 2 to 3 games well, the best defense to ever play college football.
You got an argument for sure. If they finish undefeated and win the national championship, then it's going to be hard. And especially if they do it dominantly, only giving up 14 points per game or less in those games,
Compare that to like an LSU team though in 2019.
Yeah,
Bro,
but
LSU team with 5 points per game.
Yeah,
that's unheard of. It's unheard of.
And I just don't think that's what I'm saying. It's going to be a dogfight between QBs because I'm scared for Georgia's QB. I just don't know how good he's going to play. I feel like Nick Saban's going to plan a great game plan around his defense to pressure him and make him choke a little bit.
That's what it's going to take. It's going to take Georgia's offense shooting their defense a little bit in the foot.
Exactly.
Yeah, but do you think they can do it for 4 quarters?
If anybody can, a Nick Saban team can. So
yeah, you're saying Smart's going to come out in the second half because that's how great, you make a great coach is how they come out in the second half. And that's why Dan Mullen got fired. They come out in the second half and they just play like shit. They don't know game plan.
Yeah, so we're all going Georgia though on that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Next we got Aac Championship. First time ever. It has playoff intentions on the line. We got Cincinnati minus 10.5. Number 21, Houston, 11-1. Number 4, Cincinnati, 12-0. So I do want Cincinnati to win and go to the playoffs. I like Cincinnati. I like Luke Fickell. I like Desmond Ridder. I like their defense. I like everything about Cincinnati. But I think this game is going to be very, very, very close.
Yeah, I'm betting.
It's an 11-1 Houston team that's really good. And for everyone, including you guys, I don't know, their head coach is Dana Holgorsen, who used to be the West Virginia head coach when they had Clint Trickett and they were winning the Big 12 or right there all those years. And so he is not scared of this game. He's coached in bigger games. I think it is going to be a lot closer than people think.
And this is Houston's national championship too.
Yeah.
You can say you won this game then.
Well, they have a great quarterback. I would for sure take Cincinnati, but the line set at minus 10.5. I would for sure take Houston plus 10.5.
Yeah, me as well.
I agree. I do think Cincinnati's going to win, though, in the end. I do think they're going to win.
Yeah, but we saw Cincinnati beat SMU, who was supposed to be like their challenge, and they beat them 56-14.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also think there's something to be said, too, when, like, you do have a little bit of an easier schedule. It is almost maybe, like, I could imagine they get a little bit like, oh, we're going to dominate this team. And then maybe you don't practice as hard that week. You don't watch as much film for that week. So there's like you do have to take care of business. You still have to be undefeated. So.
I don't know, dude. I think Luke Fickle's got him. I think they know this is this game right now.
Oh no,
is
I
the
know.
most
That's
important
what I'm
game of
saying.
the whole season.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like to go 11-0 up to this point, like they've had to focus with like what they beat Notre Dame. That's their best win by a lot.
And SMU, who wasn't bad.
But not great though either.
That's what I'm saying. They've given up points. That's why I would.
Yeah.
Houston has a great shot. I mean, they gave up 20 to Navy. You know, they gave up 28 to USF, which has been a pretty shit program the past couple of years.
I still think, I think it's a close game. I like Cincinnati still though.
Yeah, I agree.
Next, we got Big Ten Championship. I should be saying Michigan versus Wisconsin, but shit happens. We got number 2 Michigan 11-1, number 13 Iowa 10-2. Shout out my boy Dane Bellin, starting free safety, first team All Big Ten for Iowa. I think it's going to be the most boring game to ever watch in your entire life, and I think since Michigan, it's going to be a runner's game. It's just going to be your O-line versus my D-line and my D-line versus your O-line.
Exactly.
And I think Michigan wins a boring-ass 21-7 game.
Yeah. I mean, I was rooting for Iowa this whole year to make the playoff. Like, that was I was really rooting for them this year, but they really shit the bed. But I think Michigan's gonna blow them out.
Yeah, I kind of do too. I mean, Iowa, I was even when they were ranked number 4. Like, how high did they get this year? Like, even when they were ranked up there, I think I was on.
Got to like 2, bro.
Yeah, like the week after they got there, I was on the podcast and we were talking about it. We were like, they deserve that ranking, but we all know they're not actually that good because it's like their record said they were better than they were. And
yeah,
but I do think
if Michigan runs the ball at least 30-35 times.
Yeah, that do
Haskins.
Yeah, so Michigan should win if they take care of the ball, control the clock. They should be all right.
So last championship game, ACC, number 15 Pittsburgh 10-2, led by Kenny Pickett, and number 16 Wake Forest 10-2.
Sam Hartman, baby.
It's a Pitt -3.
This is good. This is a good game too, man.
It's good because it's not good though.
It's good because it's not Clemson, in my opinion. It's good to see different, it's good to see teams like Pittsburgh and Wake Forest make it. And they have 2 great quarterbacks.
Sam Hartman and Kenny Pickett, yeah.
Sam Hartman's a little dark horse QB.
I like Wake, though. I like Wake in this game.
I think it's going to be very high scoring. What's the over-under? 71?
Set 71.
I don't know. You take the over, but I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. I think it's going to be very fun to watch. And I don't think it's going to be close. I think one of the teams is going to establish that they're better in the beginning. I don't think it's going to be a shootout. I could see one team just feeling it out and being better. The ACC has been insane this year, so who knows?
Yeah, the ACC is always a little hard to predict. When it's not Clemson, like other than them, like since FSU's dropped off, it's been a little up and down.
Yeah, so that's it for the conference championships. Next thing we got, college football playoff rankings were released. I'm gonna go through them and then we'll discuss our thoughts, opinions, yes, no's, maybes, why not, the whole 9 yards. We got your 4 in the playoffs. Number 1, UGA. Number 2, Michigan. Number 3, Alabama. Number 4, Cincinnati. Locked in. Your 2 outsiders. Number 5, Oklahoma State. Number 6, Notre Dame. And then you got your maybe kind of sort of if math and science and God works in my favor. Number 7, Ohio State. Number 8, Ole Miss. Number 9, Baylor. And number 10, Oregon. So we're looking at simply top 6. Do you agree or disagree with this top 6 rankings, boys?
I agree with this. I agree with this. It's hard to put Oklahoma State over Cincinnati, but I feel like that's kind of the only argument. I like them to stay at 4 right now. I like it because it gives them a chance to stay in the playoff if they win. If they were ranked below Oklahoma State, there's no chance they could get in without help. So I like this. They control their own.
Philip?
I honestly would flip I don't know. I would keep Notre Dame, I'd say. I was thinking maybe flip Notre Dame and Oklahoma State, but it's going to be hard for Notre Dame to get up there 100%.
It's going to be really hard.
It would need Cincy and Oklahoma State to lose, right?
You don't think about Alabama and Cincinnati?
Yes. So they would need either Cincinnati. They would need 2 of Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, and Alabama to lose
Yeah.
to open up 2 spots.
Alabama wins. If Alabama wins,
Michigan
Notre
could
Dame
even
never
lose.
gets in.
Wait,
If
so
Alabama
they-
wins, Notre Dame doesn't get in.
Yes.
You're
If
right.
that's basically what it boils down to. Is if Alabama but Michigan could lose too, and then Notre Dame could go in for them.
I don't
So
think
what are you guys looking at for this weekend? The final standings.
So I think it's going to be 1 Georgia, 2 Michigan, 3 Cincy, 4 OK State. I think that's a given.
So I think if Oklahoma State wins, they're gonna jump Cincy to 3,
I don't think so.
and then Cincy will be 4
How do you jump them?
because they're the Big 12 champion.
Yeah, but they're an undefeated team who beat Notre Dame, who's ranked 6th.
Yeah, but then how can you put? But then how
And
can
they're
you
going
put
to
them
beat another.
behind-
They're beating an 11-1 team. You're going to beat a 7-2. You're beating a 10-2 Baylor team.
Yeah, but Baylor's ranked number 9 in the country. That's another top 10 win to act Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State would be a 1-loss Big 12 champion. Michigan would be a 1-loss Big 10, and UJ would be an undefeated SEC. So why wouldn't Cincy be over Michigan if Michigan's not?
I think they're going to do Cincy versus UGA because they want to see Cincy get butt fucked and then prove.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Cincy's going to be.
I think they deserve a 3, bro.
You think Cincy deserves a 3?
Not if Oklahoma State wins. I don't think so. Because I do think Oklahoma State would deserve to jump them. They would have just beat Oklahoma and Baylor back to back. That's 2 top 10 wins back to back. Cincinnati doesn't even. What was Notre Dame ranked when they beat them? Maybe so they have 1 top 10 win.
If you're a fan of college football and you want to see a good national championship, you keep Cincy at 4.
Yes.
Let them lose to Georgia. Let them lose to Georgia, and you let Georgia and Michigan fight it out in the championship and see how it goes. I mean,
or if Michigan, Oklahoma State, I think Oklahoma State would have a chance against Michigan, though.
Yeah, that would be a great 2 and 3 seed for sure.
Every game except playing Georgia is a good game. Cincy, Michigan, Cincy, Oklahoma State, great games.
If you're a college football fan, you don't want to see a Cincy versus
Michigan. That's what it would be.
Yeah, 2 and 3, and then let's say Cincy wins and they got to play Georgia in the championship. Like, you want to have a good championship, you want to have a good championship game. I mean,
they do think about that too, even like. But I think what it really is going to come down to, it's gonna be the combination of Oklahoma State having another top 10 win, and then they would also be the Big 12 champion. And so I think those 2 combined would put them over Cincinnati, unless Cincinnati blows Houston out. They could blow them out and then cement their 3rd spot, but also Bama could win, and then we could have 2 SEC teams in with Michigan assuming they take care of business, and then Oklahoma State if they win and Cincinnati win, then it would be a conversation.
Yeah,
who gets in Cincinnati or Oklahoma State.
I think the problem is if you're Cincinnati, bro. Like, let's be honest, dude. There's more than just because of their skill that they're not getting in. There's a revenue. The NCAA is scared that they're not going to bring in revenue and financial money. And all the people that sit in the college football playoff board, they're all Power 5 associated.
Why do you think UCF didn't make it?
Yeah. So
they were undefeated. Yeah.
I'm Cincinnati. What I'm doing is I'm worrying about this win, and I'm hoping everything behind me is chaotic. I'm hoping everything else is chaotic.
You really need Bama to lose, because if 2 SEC teams get in, then Cincinnati's really fucked.
No, because if Oklahoma State loses or Michigan loses, they're fine.
Well, yes, but then they don't control their own destiny.
Then they're fucked.
You know what I'm saying? Like, then they have to root for a team to lose rather than just winning and knowing they're in.
Or if Georgia loses, Michigan.
Oh, yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. If Bama wins, that's 2 SEC teams. And then Michigan's definitely getting in if they win. Cincy could get fucked, bro.
Then the whole board's fucked. They don't know it. Then they're just in the room.
So if that case happens, let's finish off on this note. Let's be the big thing we talk about. If Alabama beats Georgia and OK State, Cincinnati, and Michigan win, top 4. I'm not asking you what do you think the top 4 is. I'm asking you, if you are the fate, what is your top 4?
Okay. What would I decide? Or like what we would decide?
Yeah. So I'm gonna go Alabama 1.
Yeah, because they'd have a win over Georgia. That would
2, Michigan 3, Cincy 4.
Georgia 2, Michigan 3. And then I'm on the Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, though. There's a real argument.
Let's be real. 2 and 3 doesn't matter.
I think Michigan goes to 1.
No. Alabama goes to 1, bro. What?
I think
I agree.
Alabama goes to 2. If you're going by the rankings, I mean, I think this is just how the board looks at it. I think.
But then the problem is they give
And that means
Bama.
Alabama and Georgia got to run it back.
Well, but Phil, they would give Alabama. They would give
That's why this
Alabama.
college football playoff is so fucked.
Yeah.
That's you need more teams, really.
Yeah, dude.
But listen, if Bama would win, they would be the SEC champions, and they would have a win over the number 1 team in the country. So I think
They're going to go 1.
they would jump Michigan. Yeah, they would.
They're also going to put them at 1, Phil, because they don't want the 2 and 3 to be 2 SEC teams. They want to separate them.
Right. They definitely want to separate.
But let's be honest, dude. There's really not a competition for 2 and 3. You just want to get 2 or 3 because you don't want to get 1 and 4.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
3 is just as good as 2 because that means you avoid Georgia.
Yeah, if you're Cincy, you don't want to be a force.
You want 3. You are praying to God you get 3.
Exactly.
You do not want first game Georgia.
Cincy.
Because say you get 3, right, and Michigan gets 2, and you beat Michigan. That's a much easier Georgia game, beating Michigan versus we got to open up and we have to somehow find a way to beat Georgia just to only play another game.
The best case scenario for Cincinnati is a Bama loss, Michigan loss, and an Oklahoma State loss. Yeah. They need everyone to lose, and then
Ohio State and Notre Dame sneak in.
Notre Dame would sneak in, and Cincinnati, if all of them lost, would probably get up to number 2.
Yeah, I think it'd be 2. I think it'd be the Notre Dame, Cincy, and then Georgia, Ohio State.
Oh yeah, Ohio State would be right.
They're right out, dude. Ohio State and Notre Dame are on I'd say the equal level of creeping in.
But then you could argue a 2-loss Baylor that's a conference champion with a win over Oklahoma State could jump Ohio State.
That's what I've been trying to say. You said no to me.
No, they would jump Ohio State. Yes. But Baylor can't jump Notre Dame.
If all those teams lose that you just said, it's going to be
Georgia. But they wouldn't jump over Notre Dame.
I know, but it'd be Georgia. It'd be Georgia, Cincy, Notre Dame, Baylor.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I agree with that. If all those teams that we said lost, yeah.
If I am Baylor, obviously, I'm focusing on winning. But I'm praying to the gods that every fucking team gets upset.
Literally that's what you need. And pretty much everybody that wants to get in needs Alabama to lose.
Yeah.
Except for Georgia. They're kind of the only ones that are guaranteed to get in.
Georgia's good. Georgia is in the playoffs regardless what happens.
Yeah. Dude, I could see Michigan just fumbling the bag and
it's Harbaugh, bro.
Yeah, I could see Michigan dropping. And you can't drop them below Ohio State because they beat Ohio State. So then
he just beat a Ryan Day Ohio State team. I think Harbaugh,
they're riding high. Yeah.
And I think he's gonna I do think they're gonna make a good playoff push. I think he's ready for those moments. He's coached in the fucking Super Bowl before.
Yeah, you're right. You're ready. It's also like it is kind of Michigan's time. It's good for college football when they're good. Like it really is. And they've been bad for a long time now.
Any last second hot takes or opinions before we wrap up?
I was just saying we can agree Oregon's definitely out no matter what.
Yeah,
I know they're number
Oregon, Ole Miss out.
Well, Ole Miss definitely. Yeah, Ole Miss and Ohio State can't.
They ain't touching the playoff.
Yeah.
If Notre Dame wins it all, fuck Brian Kelly.
So it's really Notre Dame, Oklahoma State, Cincinnati, Bama, Baylor, Michigan competing for 3 spots.
Because Georgia's in. Georgia is. Regardless if it's 1 or 4, they're in.
First, yeah. I think the lowest they drop is 2 or 3 if they get blown out by Bama, but that's
3 is the exact fucking same.
No, I know. But still.
But hey, listen up. Shimmy, thanks for coming on again, man. Fan favorite. People love you. Phil,
thank you.
Appreciate you coming on, man. Definitely love to get you on again in the future. Take our picks if you want to win money, guys. Hit us up for any questions or if you want to get on or anything at all. Clock's on the stove. Over and out. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Grayson.